Hi there, this is Laura with Mom Envy. Today we're going to be engraving a charcuterie board with the xTool M1. The very first thing you need to do is to download the file. I am providing this file for free on my website, and if not, then you can find a different file to use. And then after that, the next step is we need to prep our board to be engraved. Okay, so one of the suggestions I saw for the Dollar Tree cutting boards or any cutting boards is to actually put on some food grade mineral oil first. So I actually have some because we use wood cutting boards in our house. See, it's well loved, the label's coming off. So I'm just gonna take a little bit and just rub it over the board. You can see the difference already. So I'm using the honeycomb, which I ordered for myself on Amazon Prime Day because I thought that it would be a great addition to my M1. So I placed it here on the honeycomb panel, and then I've got these magnetic clips, which I will put on. So they look like this, and they slip inside of the honeycomb. Now I know I'm going to put my design in the bottom right-hand corner, so I want to make sure that these are nowhere in the way of that. And this will keep this from sliding around is the hope. So I moved my clips just in a better position so that way it wouldn't slide around as much, but my board is now slightly angled. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with my design to make sure that it is even with the bottom of the board. Now for reference, this is what it looks like. I've got my machine here, I have my honeycomb panel in, and I have the panel sitting on top with my board in its place with the magnets. As you notice, I made sure that my magnets are nowhere near where my design will be, because I'm going to be putting it in the bottom right-hand corner. Also, as I learned the hard way, you can't tell this. Actually, I'll open this. I do not have my cutting blade in. Make sure if you're using your laser, take this out because there's no need to have them in at the same time. It will actually move your design. So you want to make sure that your cutting blade is not in. Okay, so I'm working on a charcuterie board, and what I'm going to be doing is first I'm going to select this, and I'm going to make sure that I'm set to engrave. So when I click my design over here on the right hand side, this screen will pop up and I will click engrave. I am doing a manual setting, and for the Dollar Tree cutting boards, I have read that 70 power, 100 millimeters per second for speed, and 100 lines per centimeters is the best option. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that on like that. But now I need to connect my device. I'm going to click connect. I'm going to click refresh because I actually had not had it on when I turned it on. Okay, so I'm going to find my tool. I'm going to click it. So this is what my board looks like when it takes the shot of what's happening inside of my M1. And as you can tell, obviously the design is way too big. I'm going to go up here to the upper right hand corner, click shift to constrain my proportions and make this smaller. Now I realize before I do this, I actually have to measure what I have in here. And because I'm using the honeycomb, my thickness, if you're not using the honeycomb, you can just use the bamboo plant label. But because I'm not, I'm going to actually click over here on the right-hand side. Well, I'm going to click User Defined Material. Right over here on the right-hand side, I'm going to have it auto-measure it for me. Okay, and this is just to ensure that this is the correct distance from the laser. So now I'm going to shrink this down again. I'm going to put it in the bottom right-hand corner because I want to make sure that I actually have room for like my cheese and my meat and everything, but you can still see the design. Now, I can tell that this is definitely crooked, so I'm going to rotate it. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of eyeing the blue line with the line of my cutting board. And I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to move it a little bit in not quite that much. I'm going to use my arrow keys to just shift it slightly away from the side. Okay, so now here comes the really important part. I'm going to use what's called framing, and this is going to show me ahead of time where the laser is going to go, and I know whether or not it is correctly placed on my board. And actually, just to be safe too, before I do that, I'm going to use my arrow keys to shift this up just a little bit. When you're doing the laser, you never want to be right to the edge of the board. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now, and in the bottom right-hand corner, above the start is the button framing. I'm going to click framing, and then I'm going to show you on my device what that does. So once you do that, it's going to ask you to click the front button on your machine. Okay, so here's my project on the front. My light is glowing, so I'm going to click that so we can frame. And now you're going to see the laser is going to come down and it's going to show me where it is going. And I want to make sure that it does not come off the board at all. Okay, so when I'm really glad that I framed it because my laser definitely went below the board. So I'm going to move this up quite a bit. I'm going to move it over, and then I'm going to try framing again. Try to show you from the side is hopefully you can tell where the laser is hitting with the framing. And now I can see that it is framed within my board. So I'm ready to go. Okay, so now that I know it's done, I'm going to click framing complete. I don't need to move this any more than what I've done. And now on the bottom right-hand side, I'm going to click Start. Now I'm going to show you guys just a little bit of the lasering process, but I'm not going to show you the entire video because it would be pretty boring for you to sit and watch it engrave. So I'm going to click Start. It's going to show me what it looks like. I'm going to click Start again in the upper right-hand side. Now when it's ready to engrave, again, this is going to glow, and I'm going to push this, and then it will start. See if we can see from the side. So you can see from the side where it's starting to engrave. And we're just going to go ahead and let it go. And I'll show you the project when it's all done. Okay, so my file is complete. This file took almost 8 minutes. It was 2 seconds shy of 8 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and show you what the final product looks like. Okay, so as you can see, this is the finished product. I'm going to go ahead and let the fumes kind of die down for a second, which I always suggest when you're engraving or using the laser in any sort of way, especially cutting wood or any sort of material like that, because it'll actually help for a second to get the fumes out, especially if you're using something like the purifier. So I'm going to take this out, and then I'm just going to apply mineral oil to the entire board again, which will just make it look even nicer.